So much drama in the car world.
But while the enthusiast and automotive press are waiting for McLaren's lap time, Christian von Koenigsegg is back in Sweden, working to get the first 1-to-1 finished. Even though the car's not done yet, its purpose is to be the fastest car ever made. And that means it must tackle the Nürburgring with an official lap time.
Nürburgring is definitely on the agenda, so that's coming, I think, sometime mid-summer, end of summer. We'll get into that seriously.
And do you actually start testing in the summer there?
That's the plan, yes.
Okay.
To start testing the summer at Nürburgring.
Cool. Do you want to say anything about lap times now or anything?
No. I have no idea. Nürburgring is definitely a very interesting track to test at, and I don't see why we shouldn't be the fastest. We should be the fastest. That's what our calculations tell us.
Cool.
So we'll see.
When Christian first came up with the idea, it was just, yeah, okay, let's do it. Yeah, now we're standing here. The car is, yeah, it's getting ready. So it's going to be great. We have a lot of testing to do. They're going to be thousands of kilometers on tracks, finding the perfect setting. I mean, the idea is, of course, we wouldn't be here if we would have been aiming for second position. Then we could have gone home many years ago. So, of course, we're aiming to be the quickest around the Nürburgring for street legal production cars. I mean, even if we haven't been there with the Agera R, we're very confident that even that car will set a very good lap time. And even though this is a limited edition, it's still a production car, and that will be even quicker.
These hypercars are amazingly engineered. They're breaking new ground. They're trying new things. It's experimentation, it's engineering, it's computer modeling. All of those things go into just shaving a hair's bit of time off of that Nürburgring record or off of that 0 to 60 time.
For over a decade, Dan Greenewalt has been on a mission to take the cars that only a few thousand people in the world own and make them accessible to the masses via video game consoles like Microsoft Xbox.
This is actually a laser scan. There's millions of points of data in here. Even though it looks like it was modeled, this is actually just a laser scan.
He's the creative director of Turn 10 Studios, the maker of Forza Motorsport. And in their small offices outside Seattle, Washington, the team is working to accurately replicate and simulate the driving performance characteristics of these hypercars.
We've really been trying to establish a vision for car culture and gaming culture and be on the vanguard of what those two things mean and what they're going to be in the future. So new media, which is video games and Facebook and Twitter and everything else, has really changed how car culture works. And some people lament it, you know, the magazines are kind of going away, but new things have emerged. There's a lot of things that have come up that are filling the void. But what's really speaking to a group of players or a group of car enthusiasts that are becoming car enthusiasts? What makes them into car enthusiasts? Is it racing? It's hard to watch racing. It's hard to even get it in the United States. But I see it as the responsibility of games like ours, of franchises like ours, to get a younger generation into cars, to replenish our ranks as enthusiasts. There's a hand-in-hand relationship there that I think video games are taking the spot of a lot of the magazines. Where what was on the cover of the magazine, what's on the cover of the video game? What was the highlight story, what's the highlight race? Now you're getting to interact with it, you're getting to experience it. But moreover, today's generation, you're getting to create your own media out of it. You get to be your own magazine. You can paint the car, you can put videos on Twitch, you can have people watching you're subscribing to your channel on YouTube. It becomes an ecosystem where the group fuels itself. And that's why I'm not too pessimistic about the future of automotive when it comes to the next generation. And as a result, the car companies have fundamentally changed their relationship to video games. They now see us as an essential way of communicating to a younger customer. They've empowered us to actually stoke passion in a new generation.
The Geneva show is less than 2 weeks away. Christian and his team at Koenigsegg are pulling another all-nighter to get the one-to-one show car ready in time for its very first public appearance. No one but the team has ever laid eyes on it. It has to be perfect.
The sub-assemblies we have front and rear bumper is at sub-assemblies and polishing area. The roof is as well at the polishing. And, yeah, of course. And in sub-assembly. Yeah, interior is in sub-assembly as well. But some panels are starting to come out now. And we are finishing the electrics tomorrow. And after that we can put in the interior. We were running a little bit late. We started a little bit late with this car. So we had to push really hard now in the end to actually get the car done. This is for me the most hard one. We've been working really hard with this new car here. And this is even harder than when we showed up the Agera first time.
1 week to go with 3 weeks work to do, so people just stay here working, sleeping a few hours at home or coming and going or just pulling 24-hour shifts. So it's really super dedicated people that brings all their energy and love into this to get it done. Geneva is for us the most important event every year. It's the most international, prestigious car show on the planet from my perspective.
It's a small show, but in the size it's somehow small, but everyone is there. If you're not there, you're not in the industry.
Like 1 or 2 days earlier, it looks like this is never going to happen, but we're really used to that because it's the same every year when we do a new project for Geneva. It just, everything kind of just comes together at the last point in time. And it's happening today again and it looks really great. And I think everyone is feeling good about it. It's just working out well.
He's the guy that thinks that nothing is impossible. And that's how he's working.
It's the same as working here as working for Christian is not for everyone. He puts a lot of pressure, not pressure in a bad way, but pressure as in he has high expectations with the people he works with. Of course, because the product needs to meet a very high standard.
That spirit goes into the people who works here and into me, and it's really fun because he's always motivating.
Du får prova att rätta upp det, får vi se hur det ser ut. Det ser lite konstigt ut. I think we chose the perfect shape here. Exactly what it has to be, because we get flush there and then so.
And people may not always think that way. It's only not just a toy or a thing you buy. You actually buy a story, a dream that we try to create.
But that's just so emotional, and the car looks just, I just want to get in and drive it, that's all I can say. It just gives this fantastic feedback, and it's ready to go kind of thing. I know what's gone into it, I know it's so for real, and it's just going to it's just going to shine. That's all I can say.
If you have the power to influence your own work, that is very motivating to people. And I think that's what happens here. Breaking new grounds, doing the impossible all the time. And that's because he truly believes they can do it. And then when someone believes in you, you can do it.
All roads to the hypercar lead here, to this glittering center of global wealth on the western shore of Lake Geneva. A city of royals and celebrities and the very, very rich. It's here the auto industry puts on its most exotic face, every year. It's where Italian design houses parade their automotive haute couture.
The Geneva Motor Show is the one motor show that you have to go to. It is compact and small, and anything that's relevant is there. And car manufacturers will delay the launch of a car often to make it happen at Geneva.
The Geneva Motor Show is where you go if you want to find the auto industry's most exciting, most outrageous, and rarest of birds.
How are you? I'm in the house. Good to see you again. Oh yeah. I've had a lot of cars. Are you running?
Yeah.
It's a very interesting place here because it's everyone kind of lowers their guard in a sense. I mean, they're showing off their product like we are doing, but there's also an opportunity to meet up and talk in a fairly casual way. And it's more of an even playing field. I mean, we're a tiny little manufacturer from Sweden, but we get to talk to the big boys and the execs at the big companies, and they treat us with respect, which is really nice for us. And I guess they think we're kind of an interesting flair at a place like this as well. So a lot of interesting stuff is going on here apart from showing off cars. It's also mingling and meeting contacts and so on.
Well, congratulations on the 101. It's just a fantastic car.
Thank you
Brilliant.
so much.
Well done.
So let's see, there they have the supercharger. Have a quick look. I really like Tesla. I have a Model S. It's definitely one of my favorite cars. They've done a fantastic job at kind of just pushing forward the EV awareness and the technology and what you get for your money. I mean, even though they're expensive, they're great value for money. No one is even close to supplying what they're supplying presently. Actually, we could stop just quickly here. So it's kind of like a door, but it's not a door. It's just a panel. This is just insane. A Ferrari V8 trike or something. And you have these intake tracts in your face. Imagine the sound of that. Oh, did you see that cool thing down at Roof Porsche, this concrete thing with all the model cars?
Yeah.
You need to shoot that. That's super cool. This thing caught my eye. I really like this thing. I wanted one in my living room. So cool. All these model cars casted into this concrete block. Just something about it. I don't know exactly what it is, but...
The Geneva Show is a triumphant moment for Christian von Koenigsegg and the 1-to-1. And there's something else to celebrate as well. Koenigsegg's entire run of cars has already sold out, sight unseen. The enthusiasm amongst the world's hypercar buyers bolsters Christian's optimism for the car and for his company. A strong showing at the Nürburgring later in the year will only add to the 1-to-1 mystique. But only a few feet away, a long-standing rival looms large. Its multi-million-dollar display booth projects one of the world's most powerful brands, a name that has always been synonymous with the highest caliber of sports car. Ferrari.
LaFerrari is about a holistic driver experience. Not about 0 to 60, although it crushes. Not about top speed, although it's 217. Not about cornering, although it pulls a staggeringly casual 2Gs.
The roads around Maranello are not great. There really are very few good roads. There's that one Ponte Simone road that we've used for years, and I think I've driven every single corner sideways, and I probably nearly crashed on every single corner. So we drove the LaFerrari there, and after about a quarter of an hour, it was clearly apparent that that was not a canvas on which you could paint any of the performance. It was just too much to really enjoy yourself.
You have a great company with a great history, and about 8,000 of the smartest people in Italy working at the campus there in Ferrari. And only the best and the best of them got promoted to LaFerrari.
There's a mixture of emotions when you come to a place like Maranello, because we have heritage. In fact, we have unparalleled heritage. This is the home of fast cars. It's the home of the supercar. It's the home of the hypercar. This is Supercar Valley. So within a 20-mile radius, we have Pagani, we have Lamborghini, we used to have Bugatti, and many others that have tried and failed to compete with the red one, which remains the daddy of them all. So we have history and heritage, but also we have this very forward-looking sense that they're trying to take a type of motoring that perhaps is unacceptable to people, that perhaps needs to change, and they're making new technologies to take that forward.
What comes out of Ferrari is so technically refined and reified, you know, so cost unconstrained that when you put it all together as they have, it's just a superb driving experience, and it's a real, as I say, it's a real honor. It's like my job is like being the art critic in Florence, you know, in the 15th century, because everybody's fucking great, right? You know, everybody's a genius. And I mean, there's no shit anywhere, right? Every car is great. So,
awesome.
Now you should ask me about the Pagani.
If you had to imagine in your mind the autocratic, charismatic creator of probably the most impressive hypercar brand to emerge on its own in the last 30 years, you couldn't actually make up Horacio Pagani. He's perfect.
Però io l'ispirazione la trovo dappertutto, cioè io sono curioso per natura, perciò osservo le cose e di tutte le cose, anche da un bottone tiro fuori un'idea. Perciò la natura è di grande ispirazione.
You know, he made his bones in, I think, military supply and then bikes. Really, you know, frankly, he didn't even study carbon composites that long. I mean, he had a 10-month internship at Lamborghini ages ago, but the guy's self-taught, total autodidact. A guy who doesn't do email and doesn't do CAD drawings, doesn't speak English, which is the universal language of engineering.
He's the Italian Argentinian who says he doesn't speak English, but understands everything you say and can speak English perfectly, but chooses not to. I love that.
Estetica e una ricerca tecnica. Nel nostro caso specifico, in Pagani, la ricerca estetica va un po' più in là, perché noi crediamo che l'automobile possa essere un oggetto d'arte. Infatti non voglio banalizzare la parola arte, ma io ritengo che il lavoro dei miei colleghi designer, dei miei colleghi artigiani, di quelli che operano con le mani, sia una vera espressione artistica. E noi, nel nostro piccolo, cerchiamo di ripercorrere un percorso, diciamo, che ci ha insegnato Leonardo da Vinci, ovvero arte e scienza camminano insieme.
There's a creative energy to him that comes out in his car, especially when you go all the way to the Lyra.
Quando vai a spendere come Vassi 1,5 milioni di euro per comprarti una Pagani e ne spendi fino a 3 o 4 milioni di euro per comprarti una Pagani, e in alcuni territori con la tassazione molto alta ancora di più, non possiamo mai pensare che questo è stato un atto razionale. Secondo me è qualcosa di completamente irrazionale. Perciò se ti metti a pensare dici, cavolo, con quello che costa una Guaira mi compro 30 o 40 macchine, diciamo, razionali. Invece il cliente Pagani è pure esclusivamente emotion. Restiamo sempre il costruttore di sogni, il costruttore che cerca di accontentare il cliente che vuole un vestito su misura.
Isn't he a mystery? Isn't he an enigmatic figure?
He's the living, breathing expression of his cars. He's tangible, and I love that. He is the ultimate hypercar owner, business owner. You know, he's the man.
Cioè, io credo che quello che sia importante da trasmettere soprattutto alla gente giovane, a prescindere che amino l'automobile o meno, che comunque con i sogni, con la passione, che questa energia, diciamo, che ti regalano i sogni e la passione, tu puoi può essere utile tutti i giorni. Perciò continuare a credere nella tua intuizione, continuare a credere in quello che fai, farlo con passione. Questo secondo me è un messaggio che da uno che è partito proprio da niente, da zero, e con una intelligenza media, ecco.
There's this yin and yang, there's this push and pull between engineering and artistry. And I think when you look at Koenigsegg and Pagani, you've got a bit of opposite in some ways, that Pagani is really this artistry at its finest, and Koenigsegg's really engineering focused.
Poi c'è Koenigsegg è un ragazzo che ha una grande passione e fa questa macchina con un sacco di cavalli, molto veloce, perciò c'è la sua nicchia dei clienti che ama, diciamo, avere un oggetto così molto, molto veloce, molto performante. Perciò ognuna, come dicevo prima, ha un suo spazio, ecco.
Back in Sweden, it's business as usual. The Koenigsegg team is on the runway testing cars for customer delivery. years of development, the 1-to-1 is finally ready to stretch its legs.
Right now we have 5 of our 1-to-1s in the same room, so they're kind of going out a little bit at once. We've been building them parallel to our testing program, where we've had our test car running for almost a year now, and we're just at the finalization stages of that. So we've already delivered one to the customer, and the other ones are ready to go out the door. So it's an exciting moment, and I hope we don't see as many of them here at the same time ever again, because it's getting crowded.
September 2014, Koenigsegg goes out to the Nürburgring, and they're testing a lot of the components that are going into the 1-1. They've put into an Agera test car.
We were there for almost 3 weeks and did a lot of miles and got up to good speed.
And things go wrong. Things can go wrong. One corner just, messed up can cause tragedy. And that's kind of what happened with Koenigsegg.
Yeah, we went off the track at relatively high speed, but everyone was okay, a little bit shooken up. The car was a little bit damaged, but we checked the car afterwards. Technically it looked all fine. Our test driver said, yeah, could have been oil slick, could have been something. The track as a whole felt slipperier.
Well, we don't know for sure exactly what happened from the incident. I mean, the actual thing that caused it. Because, on the industry pool, you have limited, you can't video as much and all that. But so there are a few different things that could have been the cause, but we focus on the new challenge. So we'll see.
There is pressure to do this. I mean, these guys are under pressure to get that lap time, and not only to test the car and to test the components of it, but to get the lap time, to make a good showing out there.
We're very keen to get back on the ring with this car, because when the weather gets better, we're going to be there really to see what the car can do officially.
But another tragedy will soon make Christian rethink his ambition to break a Nürburgring record.
I often feel there's something to the danger of driving that defines a lot of things. I think some of the Nürburgring is that it's really dangerous. It's not like other tracks, and we still have, Le Mans, there's still deaths occasionally there, and other FIA tracks. But the Nürburgring is dangerous on a level that you just don't see popularized or publicized quite as much.
March of 2015. A fatal crash during a race at the Nürburgring. The death seems to be a final straw for officials, ushering a series of unprecedented restrictions at the track.
We started getting info like yesterday or the day before that there are speed restrictions on this area called the Flygplatz, where this I don't know if you saw this Nissan GTR crashed out in the audience a couple of months ago in a GT race. So they're restricting that area to 250 kilometers per hour, and we knew that for a while, but that's not a big issue. We can live with that. And then there's another area called Swedenkreuz or something, which is really restricted to 200 or 250. We could also live with that. But then we started hearing that long straight is restricted to 250 kilometers per hour, and that's where we can go 400 kilometers per hour. So that's a big restriction for us. But we said, okay, maybe we can get around that, or we'll see how fast we can go. And then they said no one is allowed to go for all-out records anymore this year. So all of those things together kind of put a lid on it today. So we were kind of scrambling to get everything out and get ready, and they said, hang on, what are we doing here? We're not allowed to. What are we doing? So that's where we are basically suddenly.
For the 1-to-1, the ban on hot laps at the Nürburgring now makes an attempt at a lap record impossible.
We've already kind of done a record at Suzuka, and we just keep on going and taking record at all the other tracks we're allowed to take records at.
Disappointed, but still confident, Koenigsegg sets his sights elsewhere.
We can try to go back to Spa again. I mean, we didn't even try to go for a record there. We can drive probably 4 or 5 seconds faster than what we did already.
First you got a soul that's awake while you sleep. Then you got a soul that's asleep while you're awake. But in the end, baby, you got a soul that's asleep. First you got a soul that's awake while you sleep.
I have a very close relationship with Christian, and he knows that I make the decision what's safe to do or not. So he's just going to be, do whatever you feel comfortable with, go as quick as you can, of course, but he knows that I do the balancing between pushing boundaries and not putting cars at risk. Because anyone can go out and be super quick, but what's the risk? You can take a world champion of something and say go and do a lap record attempt, and he'll might make it, and he'll probably be quicker than I am, but he maybe will not make that at all. And the question is it worth it if you make it? Yes. Is it worth it if you don't make it? No.
Spa-Francorchamps, an hour west of the Nürburgring, a racetrack built in the same motorsports era. Spa is smaller than the Nürburgring, but it challenges drivers with high speeds and blind corners.
It's been a long process, and I mean, we're never done. Because, as Christian says, perfection is a moving target. So there will always be new things. I will always figure out something new with the suspension or with the aero or something. So there's not really a goal for it. We just want to make it as good as possible in the given time frame.
If the Koenigsegg 1-to-1 were to set a lap record at Spa, it would truly be in a class by itself. But Spa has its own dangers and its own rules and regulations.
just went red.
Flag in every corner. There are marshals standing halfway out on the track waving yellow and red flags. So.
Okay, well, then we have to check what is the problem.
What was going on at the end there?
Yeah, they put marshal in the middle of the track. Yeah, and there was red flags all over the track. In every single post there was a red flag and there were red lights. By the time I got to the end of the straight first time, the whole track lit up the red. And then they had marshals physically on the track to prevent me from going.
I mean, what we're doing with hypercars, or now mega cars, or call them whatever you like, I always ask myself, what am I doing for humanity? I mean, how are these, let's say, luxury, super expensive sporting goods or whatever they are, how do they influence everyday lives of humankind in a broader sense? And I think it does, actually. Well, number one thing is, of course, everyone thinks I'm living my dream, which I agree, and I think that is an important thing to show that it is possible, that it's important to dream and to realize your dream, and that really works. That is one very important part of it. But also the technology we develop. We've seen many things already trickle down into more normal cars. Combustion engine philosophies, how it interacts with the transmission and the clutch, and all of these things that are really on the edge in our industry is trickling down to more normal cars. It's like, the Bugatti Veyron had one of the first dual clutch transmissions. Now you're finding it in kind of every Volkswagen around the world, more or less. So that is just happening, and it's one of the few industries where that's going quite quickly from high end to low end.
Christian is an inventor, I would say. That's his passion, that's what he lives and breathes, to invent new things. And at the moment his focus area is cars, but it could well be anything.
Hypercars are built by people where there's a sort of cult of personality around that person. I mean, whether it's Enzo Ferrari built the Ferraris, Ferruccio Lamborghini wanted to best Ferrari, right? There was a rivalry. Guys like Horacio Pagani and Christian von Koenigsegg come along, and they put their names on the cars for a reason, because they're personal, but this is where the ego part kind of comes in, where they want to bend the world to their will, to create something that is just not only the highest expression that they can come up with, but the coolest thing that they've probably ever dreamed of, and that they can actually put it together and fabricate it, is kind of an amazing thing for a car guy, or just for a kid who grew up wishing that they could do that.
I get the feeling that Christian's that guy. I think he knows what he wants. He wants to experiment with technologies, he wants to display what he can do, and he wants to then sell it to people, and he wants to go really, really fast. In the end, having a bloke who wants to go really, really fast is a fantastic basis for making a hypercar company.
So what is a hypercar? If we believe those who build, buy, and obsess over them, a hypercar is, in automotive form, a vision for the future, today. So what is the future for the hypercar? Like others, Christian von Koenigsegg is betting on electric propulsion. His next hypercar will be called the Regera, and he'll push technology and horsepower even further, using both an internal combustion engine and an electric motor.
Where's it going? We're moving away from fossil fuels, inevitably. BP, a couple of weeks ago, announced that it reckoned there was 58 years of oil left in the ground. So, okay, I don't believe in peak oil theory, but, you know, we are reaching a point where extracting it's costing too much. We have to change. Human beings, the human race, has always responded to times of profound change. That's when we do things. If you tell us we ought to do something to mitigate against a risk in the future, and we'll be lazy and we won't do anything. But if you tell us we have to change, then we will. That's why at times of world war and conflict, we tend to invent things much faster and build things much faster, because we have to do things. We have to respond. So I think this gradual process is okay, but I think it will ramp up fairly soon. Once the oil becomes too expensive to get out of the ground, then you're going to see the electrification of the motor car. It's inevitable.
Engineers are smart. We're going to keep figuring out ways to make cars go faster. My body can't take a lot of the stuff that these cars can do now. And at some point, Lewis Hamilton's body is not going to be able to take the stuff that these cars can do. That's the place we're heading to. And I think it's exactly that idea that kind of comes into our head, that it's what makes hypercars so fascinating. A car can't do that. It can't do that. And then it does.
So the hypercar is the most, important manifestation of this democratizing force. It's the ultimate manifestation of freedom, technology, and art. It is the apex of all these ideas in one statement of what is possible. However irrelevant that thing is, its meaning transcends its irrelevance.
It's about being something that you're not, and what you're not is a 250 mile an hour beast that can kind of storm across a landscape and do superhuman things.
And that leaves only one question. Will humanity's desire for speed endure? Is it just an anomaly of human evolution? Temporary? A fad? Or is it our desire for speed that makes us human?
If someone who didn't know anything about cars asked me why hypercars matter, the only possible answer is, like jazz, if you have to ask,